welcome to Sheeran Guitar Tutorials. My name's David, and in today's lesson I'll be covering the song Slowly from Ed Sheeran's 8th studio album, Play. This tutorial will cover how he plays the song during his live performances, but I'll be making comments throughout the tutorial to show you an easier way to play the song. Now, as of recording this video, Ed is actually yet to officially release the song, so this tutorial is based off the very first and currently the only live performance of this song that's posted online. So that being said, there may be a chord or two that's just a little off, or maybe some strumming's a little different, so bear with me a little bit. However, even if something is a little bit off, based on all the other information in this tutorial, I trust you'll be able to work it out for yourself. Now then, you'll need your guitar in standard tuning and a capo on the 2nd fret. Let's jump on in. So starting now with the chords, the first one you'll need is a C, which is played like this. To play the song how Ed does live, you'll also need to know how to play the C sus2 chord, played like this. Another kind of C chord you'll need if you want to play how Ed does live is this one, which I'm calling a C prime. You'll also need an A minor 7, an F add 9, an F sus2, a D minor, a G sus4. Now getting to the second to last chord, it's a little hard to tell at this point, considering there is only one live performance to go off of, and the song doesn't come out for months, but it appears as though Ed is playing kind of a funky E minor 7 chord here, with the trick being to use your ring finger to mute the A string kind of along the 3rd fret of that A string there. So this E minor 7 would sound like this. If I'm wrong though about that previous E minor 7 chord, then it is likely a C major 9, whose only difference from the E minor 7 is actually fretting the note at the 3rd fret of the A string using your ring finger. Moving forward in this tutorial though, I'll be using the E minor 7. And so similarly, this last chord again is a little hard to tell, but it seems to be a G7, which is played like this. However, if I'm wrong, it's likely a C major 9 over F, which is played like this. Moving forward in this tutorial though, I'll be using the G7. Moving on to strumming now, and there seems to be only one pattern with some optional additional strums. I'll start by playing it for you with and without the optional strums that I have listed. Breaking down the notes on the screen, any strum that's bolded should be emphasized a little bit more than the others. So instead of just, it would sound like this. Next, you'll notice I have 2 lowercase strums shown on the screen. Those are optional strums you can include if you want to. When watching Ed play the song live, he will occasionally add these strums into his strumming, so it's up to you whether you want to use them or not. So I'll just show you how each of those would sound with and without the optional strums. Without the optional strums, it would sound like this. And with the optional strums, it would sound like this. So jumping into the song now, we're starting with verse number 1, which I have broken into 2 lines of chords shown on the screen. If you'd like a little easier way to play the verse though, I would actually play what I have shown on the screen now. But back to the live version of the song, you'll start by playing your normal C chord 4 times, using whichever version of the strumming pattern you prefer. And that would sound like this. Next, you'd switch to the A minor 7 and do the same thing. From there, you switch to the E minor 7, which again could possibly be a C major 9, but moving along with the E minor 7, you'd play your strumming pattern 2 times. Then you'd switch to the G7 and play the strumming pattern 2 more times. So the E minor 7, G7 section would sound like this. And the entirety of the first line of verse 1 would sound like this. Next is line 2, and it looks a little harder than it actually is. You start by playing your strumming pattern once on your C, then switch to your F sus2 for a down strum. So from there, you would hammer on to your F add 9, and then finish the strumming pattern. So that whole F section would sound like this. From there, you would do a similar thing, but now you're starting with your C sus2 and then hammering onto your C to finish the strumming pattern. And that would sound like this. And then you'd finish the second line of verse 1 by playing the strumming pattern one more time on your C. So the entirety of line 2 of verse 1 would sound like this. And so altogether, what we have so far for verse 1 would sound like this. And so then you would repeat all of that one more time, and that would complete verse number 1. So all of verse number 1 would sound like this. Moving on to pre-chorus 1 now, and it's just 2 lines. And this would go for whether you want to play this song exactly how Ed does live, or for an easier version. You start by playing our strumming pattern twice on the D minor chord. Then move to the F sus2 for a down strum, before hammering on to the F add 9 to finish the pattern. So all of line 1 would sound like this. Next, you play the D minor again, just like you just did, but then the F portion is just the F sus2. And so that's it. So the entirety of pre-chorus 1 would sound like this. So moving on now to chorus 1, this again is the same, whether you want an easy way to play the song or want to play it exactly how Ed does live. So I have chorus 1 broken into 2 parts to make it a little easier to digest. Starting with line 1 of part 1, you'd play our strumming pattern 3 times on the C and then once on the G sus4. So that would sound like this. Next, you'd switch to the A minor 7 and play our strumming pattern 4 times. So all of line 1 of part 1 of chorus 1 would sound like this. On to line 2 now, we have our classic E minor 7, G7 part, where you're playing our strumming pattern twice for each chord, which again would sound like this. And then you finish out line 2 of part 1 of chorus 1 by playing the strumming pattern twice for the C and twice for the G sus4. And so all of line 2 of part 1 of chorus 1 would sound like this. entirety of part 1 of chorus 1 would sound like this. Moving on now to part 2 of chorus 1, and it's about 90% the same as part 1. The only difference is at the very end with the G sus4. Instead of just playing the strumming pattern twice on the G sus4, you're actually hammering on to the C prime chord halfway through to finish out that part. So the entirety of the G sus4 portion would sound like this. So that's the only difference between parts 1 and 2 of chorus 1. If you don't want to do the hammer-on bit I have shown, just play part 1 of chorus 1 twice, and that will be a little bit easier. And so the entirety of part 2 of chorus 1 would sound like this. So on to verse 2 now, and regardless of whether you want to play the song like Ed does live, or an easier version, it's exactly the same as verse number 1. So refer back to that section for the details. So on to pre-chorus 2 now, and it's basically the same as pre-chorus 1, there are just 2 small differences. The first is when you're going through the pre-chorus for the first time, you don't hammer on to the F add 9 after doing the first down strum on the F sus2, you're just playing the F sus2 the whole time. The second is on the second line of pre-chorus 2, instead of playing the whole strumming pattern twice, you're just doing one down strum. And again, this is the same whether you're playing the live version of the song or an easier version. So the entirety of pre-chorus 2 would sound like this. So moving on to chorus 2 now, and it's played exactly the same as part 1 of chorus 1, you're just playing it twice. But refer back to that section for the details. So just to play the entirety of chorus 2, it would sound like this. So now we're at the break of the song, and this is the same whether you're playing the live version or an easier version. And there's actually nothing new here we haven't already learned. The only thing I'll say is try and make this part a little quieter to give the song some dynamic variation. But other than that, you're basically just playing the same strumming pattern 4 times for the C, 4 times for the A minor 7, twice for the E minor 7, before playing it twice for the G7, and then playing it twice for the C, before playing it twice for the G sus4. At this point in the tutorial, I don't think I need to show you how each of these parts sound individually, but what I will do is play the entirety of the break for you. And so now we're on to the final part of the song, chorus 3. And this part is the same whether you're playing the live version of the song or an easier version. And so it's just a simple down strum on your C chord, followed by a down strum on the G sus4, and then 1 on the A minor 7. From there, you're playing the main strumming pattern twice on the E minor 7, twice on the G7, and then you finish with a down strum on your C. So the entirety of chorus 3 would sound like this. And so that's the entirety of the song. So what I'll do now is do a full playthrough of the song to give you something to practice and play along to. Enjoy. And so that's the entirety of the lesson. If you want more tutorials covering songs from Play, be sure to click the card on the screen now to jump to all my other Ed Sheeran lessons. Also be sure to leave a comment letting me know what you thought, give this video a like, and subscribe to the channel, as there'll be many more Play tutorials to come in the very near future. Thank you!